Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of QTV. And again, we've got a great show lined up for you this evening. First off this evening, we got an interview with Sarah Seahorse, who uses clothes and fashion as a way to make social commentary. We'll take you to a recent demo protesting the federal government's plans for a religious freedoms bill, emerging young artist Ethan Tan, whose work was included in a National Gallery Victoria exhibition, talks to us about his future plans, and our Moments in Time series takes a look at Pokey stage shows that took place every Sunday evening at the St Kilda Prince of Wales Hotel.
I was a hyperactive kid and bored easily. So Mum said, well, here's a sewing machine, here's a pattern, here's some fabric, make it. Also, my grandma is an amazing embroiderer, and I'd spend school holidays with Granny making things, doing needle crafts, learning embroidery. And I often give thanks to my granny for instilling a love of handcrafts in me from a young age.
This is fast fashion. Oh, it's so fun.
I think I've always used my creativity as an outlet to deal with the world and my place in it, as my way to communicate big feelings. Mardi Gras next weekend, which is really exciting, and I have had a request for a pink and turquoise recycled materials based headdress that's going to read "The future is queer." I have an amazing collection of friends who are queer and make some of the most incredible fashion.
And I love working with a lot of this fast fashion stuff that's made of plastic, because it's made of ancient conifer ferns, dinosaurs, and organic matter that's been pulverized deep under the earth over aeons, and now we're bringing it out and giving it new life.
The thing is, we're not business people. We live to create. So no one's really made it big if you count success as being fame and money. I left home quite young, so I've always had quite an independent life from my family, which is, just naturally how it's flowed. I also feel quite privileged that I grew up with an amazing queer lesbian auntie who was a huge inspiration in my life. I've been told I'm exactly like my auntie ever since I can remember. For a long time it was like I rebelled against that. I was like, no, I'm my own person, I'm me, and I'll do what I want to do. But as I've become older, I've realised actually I'm just like her. Then that came with then coming out to my mum, I guess, which was is still a bit of a confusing topic for me, I think. Pink has been chosen by trend forecasters as fashion's next hot colour. Really nice way to add texture to the work we create. I moved into a warehouse, scungy warehouse with amazing artists, a bunch of women, and environmental activists at the time, and that led me to going to bush doofs, outdoor music festivals, which became my lifestyle and my community for a really long time. That's where I sold my felt hats, beautiful handmade felt hats that I made for about 7 years, traveling all over the world and all over Australia, selling my hats at festivals. And then that sort of led me to some really amazing creative people that I met through the festival scene, artists creating art at festivals. Luna and I collaborate on a lot of our wearable art projects and our large-scale wearable art pieces, which is a wonderful process for the two of us to share. We're very much on the same page in terms of colour, reusing recycled materials, our absolute obsession with fabric and fabric manipulation. I'm really proud of of winning awards at the World of Wearable Art Awards on a global platform. It was a garment that transformed from neon coral to bleached white coral. When we first showed it to our community, everyone cried, which we really weren't expecting, and just the profound nature of witnessing that and realising what's happening right now in the world was pretty amazing.
Fashion is something that everyone can relate to. Whether you're into fashion or not, everyone buys clothes and everyone contributes to the environmental and cultural issues that are around fashion, like where our clothes come from, where do they go when we're done with them. So it's something that everyone can relate to.
We bring the op shop waste to a space and then invite anyone of any skill set, creatives, first timers, anyone is welcome to come. And the idea is to transform the discarded waste into amazing fashion. Traditional bodies that you don't usually see on a runway are welcome to be fabulous and strut their stuff in their new fabulous creation.
Sarah is an absolute creative dynamo.
Sarah loves the project and is here every event that we do, and is hugely influential, and is also a maker, whereas me and Seb don't actually sew. We put things together hand sewing or with safety pins and styling ridiculous outfits, and so to have Sarah there to help people who come and give tips and advice on how to make things is a huge aspect of this event.
And people go, wow, and it's such an amazing conversation starter and to inspire people as well that, you know, you can make clothes yourself. You don't need to buy things. So this jumpsuit was my childhood bedspread. About 10 years ago, fossicking for something in my dad's shed, I found it and he'd been using it as a painting drop cloth. So if you look closely, it's actually covered in paint. But yeah, this is my original childhood bedspread. It's about 30 years old and I made it into this amazing boiler suit. Originally intended, I was sort of like, it's covered in paint, I'll make it as a work outfit to wear to work, and it doesn't matter if it gets covered in paint. And I made it and it was so fabulous that it's now become my sort of, my creative power suit. There's something really intimate about wearing art upon the body as well that can tell a really profound story more than perhaps looking at something hanging on a wall. My long life of sewing, my sewing and creativity as a sort of a mental health coping mechanism, I guess, in a positive way. Always got so many ideas I want to make. It's just finding the time. So when I get to bring that special little thing I found in the gutter riding my bike, or something that I picked up from an op shop, or the trash and treasure on Sunday, when I can bring that to life in a costume or piece of wearable art, I feel a great sense of pride. Yep.
religious freedoms demonstration.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Scott Morris, let's go! Hey, hey!
They're willing to let sex crimes be okay to be a member of a Catholic society. But when it comes to being gay, when it comes to love, they got a problem with love. So I'm telling you now, it's not us with a problem. They got the problem. It's all right to love. Right now, today, to say we're not going to stand for inequality or injustices.
The press conference that Scott Morrison held in December last year, just a few weeks ago, where he announced the second draft of this religious discrimination bill. And he gave that press conference in a cloud of bushfire smoke. On the worst day of bushfire smoke that Sydney had seen up until that point, and they are still seeing and breathing in poisonous, toxic smoke that Scott Morrison chose to ignore that day and continues to choose to ignore, as he announced a bill that he described as for all Australians. Of course, we all know this is not a bill for all Australians. It is a bill for the bigots. It is a bill that gives a green light to discrimination. And it's an attack, in fact, probably one of the biggest attacks that I have seen in my lifetime of being an activist for LGBTI rights. Anyone who wants reproductive health services in this country, it's a threat to you too. So any decent person should oppose these bills, and it's nothing to do with religious discrimination and everything to do with prejudice. If you live in a regional or rural area, in all seriousness, and you have a medical professional who lives there who's religious, or they could make up a religion and just say it's against my religion to provide these services like PrEP for people who want to access PrEP, hormone treatments for trans and gender diverse people, and reproductive services, morning after pill, all sorts of things that are beyond a moral, conscientious objection. They can just say now, we're not doing it. And we've seen in Torquay a surgery where there was a sign on the door with a list of services that one of those doctors says they will no longer provide, and they feel confident to put that sign in their window. This is a bill that's about giving confidence to those bigots. And it's worth remembering where this came from, because this all began in the very same month that we won a smashing victory in the postal survey and for marriage equality.
I and the Greens support the rights of people who have a religious faith to not be discriminated against. A fundamental right, it should exist. But that doesn't mean that their right to not be discriminated against should give them the right to discriminate against others. This bill would allow abuse, so not just against the LGBTIQ+ community, but against women, against people of colour, against people with disabilities, against older people. It would allow humiliating, insulting and offensive language that's currently prohibited, that's currently illegal. It would allow doctors and nurses and other health professionals to say, no, I don't want to treat you. This is not a bill that's about religious freedom. This is a bill that is giving special legal privilege to religious prejudice.
Load of hypocrisy, of bigotry. This is a bill that says that it is a shield to protect those with a religious belief. And I don't think there's anyone here that doesn't think that people should be allowed to believe what they want. But it's actually a sword. It is a sword to slice us. It is a sword to hurt us. In many ways, it is a sword that may kill us. Because this bill will allow any doctor, any medical profession to refuse to give you life-saving treatment.
As the parent of a trans woman who is just starting to claim who she is. I worry, I'm scared of where this bill will lead our world. I don't want a world where my daughter is told she is somehow less than other people. I don't want a world where my daughter is told that she cannot access services and groups. I don't want a world that tells her that other people have more rights than she has.
Up next, we've got Ethan Tan, who was talking to Joy 94.9's Saturday Magazine programme. And after that, we're going to remember Pokies.
Ethan completed his studies at Kew High School in 2019, and he's actually taking part in the National Gallery Victoria Top Arts 2020. You must be pretty excited to be doing anything with the NGV. Is really significant. It's a great honour for you.
Yeah, so basically it's just an exhibition for the Year 12 students. They get selected, I think it was 40.
Yep.
And yeah, I was one of them.
When you were creating the work, were you thinking that there was going to be an outcome like this? Did you ever imagine that the piece would be at NGV?
Oh, definitely not. Like, I went to visit the exhibition when I was in Year 12, and I was looking at all the people and I was like in awe because it was all so pretty. I didn't think I would be there, but yeah, it's so cool that I ended up being chosen. A portrait of myself, it's a photo. It's of mainly like my face and my arm, and it kind of explores androgyny and like the spectrum of gender. So it's me, and I've got some makeup on with some jewels on my face. There's some pink and blue light coming through different sides of the photo, which kind of just like represents, again, like the spectrum of gender and playing around with colours associated to gender, like baby pink, and then the baby blue.
Exhibitions like this are so important. It showcases, people's works and people's thoughts and who they are to a really, really broad audience. And National Gallery Victoria has been, I think it's one of the best galleries in the world, not just for what it exhibits, but the values it has and what it does and the reason it does it. There'd be lots of galleries in the world that would love to do this, but perhaps don't have the courage to do it.
Well, that's true. I mean, Top Arts is a fantastic platform to be inspired by what people are creating at the Top Arts exhibition. So is photography that you work in that medium most of the time?
Actually, surprisingly not. No. It was kind of like a bit of an accident.
An accident?
Not really an accident, but like I'm mainly a drawer, a painter, a makeup artist as well. I just chose photography because I kind of wanted to shift the focus towards me as an individual and explore like my identity, because it was just something I was really familiar with. Like throughout my folio process, I started off exploring other people, and then as my journey came to a close and like I began doing my final works, my work kind of started focusing on me, because I started doing a lot of introspection and thinking about my experiences. And yeah, so I decided photography would be really cool to like place me in the center of the focus.
With the photography, and certainly with explorations of around gender and around issues of sort of self-acceptance and understanding, we see so much of that in social media. There are so many people that are creating and having their voices heard through the visual medium and the photographic medium. How do you feel that the social media space is going to be of benefit as opposed to the general conversation which always talks about the harm of social media? I mean, how do you work with social media, and do you use your photography in that particular platform?
Social media can be good and bad. Like, it's a place for people to showcased our talents and our identity, which is really cool. Like I have social media platforms, and I put my makeup on there, and I like showcase that. Like I don't really think I would be able to reach an audience if I didn't have social media. Like if I was in like the 90s, I wouldn't know how I would showcase all my talents because there wouldn't be such an accessible platform. In general, I'm pretty expressive. Like the way I dress kind of reflects who I am as a person. So I'll probably keep dressing a bit funky like as I keep growing as a person.
Yep.
I'll definitely keep being on social media and posting my Instagram looks. Wait, can I plug myself for a second?
Of course.
Sure.
Okay,
Why
follow
not?
me on my Instagram. That's Ethan Tan Beauty. It doesn't really matter what you're doing, whether you're a fashion designer or you're making any type of art, you can find a way to showcase it online, and that's a really easy way to gather an audience.
The Prince of Wales Hotel on the corner of Ackland and Fitzroy Street has recently been refurbished, the latest in a series of remodellings since the present building went up in 1937. The Prince of Wales place in gay history comes into its own with the opening of Pokey's, a regular Sunday night theatrical drag show which ran from 1977 to 1992. It was launched by Doug Lucas and Jan Hillier, both of whom had plenty of experience organising gay nights at various pubs around Melbourne. It set out to provide professional, highly theatrical shows that would appeal to a wide audience. Elaborate and expensive costumes, rehearsals and choreographed shows, excellent light and sound systems drew the crowds in Sunday night week after week. Some of the performers were drag queens, some were transsexuals in the language of the time, and there were even dancing boys. Doug Lucas, in his brashest drag persona, was the MC for the evenings. Pokey's prided itself on being the kind of place that gay women and men could bring their mums. Good, clean, or maybe just slightly dirty fun for everybody's entertainment. Not surprisingly, anything up to 1,000 people would turn up on a Sunday night. And it was on the celebrity circuit as well. Cher, Danny LaRue, the cast of Neighbours, all turned up at different times. Less well known, but remembered just as fondly, was Penny's, hosted by Jan Hillier, but named after her girlfriend, Penny. Penny herself was a regular on these nights, working her way through the crowd, meeting people, greeting people, and making sure that they were having a good time, regardless of their style. And Penny's was notorious for the variety of styles of lesbians who would turn up. There were different crowds gathered at Penny's on any given night. The sporty dykes, the really cool people over in the corner, and the not quite skinhead looking ones, as one patron described one group of those there. And there were lots of off-duty women cops who could be relied upon to break up the fights, assuming they weren't engaged in them. Pokies and Pennies lasted for a decade until 1992, until finally the entrepreneurs moved on to other projects.
Wasn't it wonderful to remember Pokey's there and those fantastic costumes? It's a shame there isn't quite such an elaborate show on today. But there you go, that's all we have time for this evening here on QTV. Join me again next week for some more great QTV. Take care.